Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you could all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, is there any public comment? Okay, noting no public comment, can I get a verification of the posting of the agenda, please?
Tara Adams for the record. The agenda was posted on the 27th day of March 2026 between the hours of 11 and 5 p.m. at all locations listed on the agenda in accordance with statutes.
Thank you, Tara. This will be a revised agenda with the removal of new business item A. With that, can I get a motion for this agenda as revised?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as revised.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. 6, consideration of possible action, approval of the minutes of the meeting held on February 3rd, 2026, fee schedule workshop, February 5th, 2026, and February 18th, 2026. Can I get a motion for those minutes, please?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve the minutes as presented for the meeting held on February the 3rd, 2026, fee schedule workshop, meeting held on February the 5th, 2026, meeting held on February the 18th, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Our first appointment, 7A, consideration and possible action, reclassification of a Justice Court Clerk trainee, Dalen Ruda, to a Justice Court Clerk position. Ben, Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe Sanford for the record. I just want to bring this matter before the board. This is an oversight from our last year. Our trainee clerk, Dalen Rita, has been at that position for 2 years, typically at our 2-year period, and as our policy, that is a 2-year temporary position. When they have successfully completed it, they would be reclassified to a full Justice Court clerk. Typically, it's done at the budget time, but it was not done in this case. As of April 8th, she will have had her 2-year anniversary, and we're asking that this reclassification be done effective as of that date.
All right, and Ben Trotter, Justice of the Peace, we do have, I believe, what we need in the budget to cover it, so it's not going to require any addition.
Okay, thank you, guys. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to reclassify Justice Court Clerk trainee Dalen Ruda to Justice Court Clerk position.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
7B, consideration of possible action, presentation of Churchill County Social Services Behavioral Health Task Force 2025 Impact Report. Shannon?
We'll sit on this side since I've always sat on this side. Good morning. For the record, Shannon Ernst, Churchill County Social Services, and I have Emma White with me here. So as you know, in 2024, we completed our behavioral health prevention plan and really looking at reducing our suicide and increase access to services here in Churchill County. It was found that it would be beneficial to bring Emma on, and it was a partnership with the City of Fallon to actually contract with her to oversee our behavioral health task force and build out our strategies that were in our plan. So today, Emma's going to provide you an overview of the work that she has done over the past year.
Hello, good morning. Thanks so much for having me. I'm sure all of you are aware, but just as a reminder, suicide is a really big issue in the state of Nevada, and some of our numbers are very concerning. I mean, all of it is concerning. One of the biggest points is that we've actually ranked first in the nation for our 65 and older population for suicide rates. We also rank 10th in the nation for our overall ages. So I wanted to provide a little bit of information about what we've been doing, and it's been a really great opportunity. Do I have you? Okay, perfect. Yeah, you can move forward. Yeah, keep going. Sorry. Okay, perfect. There we go, right there. So in 2025, we had some really great key accomplishments, and this is really a partnership and collaboration with a lot of different entities in the county. So there's a telehealth and wellness room at the Life Center, which is really awesome. We established the Unite Us platform so people can go onto the Unite Us platform and find resources for anything that they're looking for. What's really awesome about Unite Us is that the resources are local. One of the things that we found when we did research and conversations with folks that were struggling is that it's very difficult to reach out for help and to be told that you have to travel 4 or 5 hours to seek help. So the Unite Us platform does have the resources that are local and available for people. We also held a crisis response tabletop at the school district where many community folks came in, mental health support, mental health resources, the police department, because we wanted to make sure that people knew what to do in the event of a crisis at our schools. For context, this is required by the Department of Education. So the Department of Education requires that school districts adopt a suicide postvention policy within their emergency operations plans. The school district did not have that, so through that tabletop exercise, we were able to create that policy and create the team. I'm really proud to say that the school district now actually has a suicide prevention task force that is internal, which is incredible to see. We also have hosted many mental health awareness events and suicide prevention events, one in May and one in September, and we will be doing another one in May at the 3C. I don't know, I always think of 4-H. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, so we've had some really great accomplishments. If you want to move forward. One of the things I'm most proud of is that we have done a lot of training in suicide prevention within the county over the last year, and it's continuing. So we actually trained 400 Churchill County School District staff in the Safe Talk program. If you're not familiar with the Safe Talk program, it's a 3-hour in-person training. It allows people to learn about the signs of suicide, how to ask about suicide, and how to connect people to resources. We trained 400 people in one day. That is a record for the state, I'm just going to say, so it's really awesome that we get to say Churchill County was a part of that. Then we followed it up and we had a few more people in January that got trained. Some other funding was continued. That I don't know if you wanted to speak to that real quickly. No, we'll just keep moving. And so we're continuing expanding that awareness. We're also supporting the Hope Squads, not financially, but just through anything that they need as far as the students needing access to training. So one of the things that we did actually just a month ago is that the Hope Squads at the high school learned ASSIST. They took the ASSIST training. It's a 2-day suicide intervention training. It was incredible. It's really great to see the students being able to learn this and then implement it in the schools. You can move forward. Looking forward, we still have a lot to work through on the plan. We want to adopt a formal crisis response plan for the county. So like I said, we did develop and adopt it for the school district, but we'd like to expand it, broaden it for the larger county. We do want to implement the Signs of Suicide program in Churchill County. It's not being done currently. It is being done at all of the school districts surrounding the area. If you don't know Signs of Suicide, it is a 45-minute training for middle school and high school students to learn about the signs of suicide, and then we offer them an opportunity to seek support. It's a really incredible program. Washoe County does it, Clark County does it, Pershing County does it, Battle Mountain does it, Carson City does it. So we want to get Churchill County rocking and rolling with that in 2026. We'll continue those community trainings. This quarter so far, we've actually provided 4 trainings encompassing 60 community members, and that will continue. So there's a lot of things that are in the plan. We know that social determinants can lead to thoughts of suicide, so there are things we need to continue to address, which we will, including housing issues, food instability, access to mental health resources. Nevada does rank 51st in the nation for access to youth mental health resources and 49th in the nation for adults. So we still have a lot of work to do to make sure that people have access to support. And that's not just a us thing, that's going to be a state thing, collaboration. Continuing to expand that access to counseling, healthcare, making sure that people know where to go, and that Unite Us platform will be helpful with that. You can move forward. I think you can move forward. So just to highlight really quick some of our community partnerships. Again, this is an all hands on deck approach. So if I'm missing anybody, please tell me, but we try to keep everybody on the list. But we're really grateful for our partnership with the school district, with NAMI Nevada and NAMI Western Nevada. We also work very closely with the Fallon Paiute Shoshone tribe the Nevada Office of Suicide Prevention, which is under the Division of Public and Behavioral Health, my nonprofit organization, which is the Life is Worth It organization, and we have many additional regional partners, including New Frontier and the Coalition. All right, well, in the packet there is more information on the impact report if you wanted to look through it, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to support in any way, and if you're ever interested in taking a suicide prevention training, please let me know. We'll get you signed up. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Okay, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
7C, consideration and possible action, adoption of a joint proclamation with Churchill County and the City of Fallon designating April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. Shannon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, for the record, Shannon Ernst, Churchill County Social Services. And I'm going to hand this over to Brittany Burton, and she is the lead of the project this year.
Good morning, Brittany Burton for the record. Pinwheels for Prevention is a national public awareness campaign launched by Prevent Child Abuse America in 2008 to bring awareness to child abuse and to promote prevention efforts. Each year, we request that April be proclaimed Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. Our kickoff event will be held tomorrow at Millennium Park at 10 a.m. We invite you guys to come join us for the reading of the official proclamation and remarks from community leaders as we come together to recognize the importance of protecting children and supporting families. The morning of the kickoff, there's going to be a group of volunteers that is going to turn our town blue. We're going to be planting pinwheels around certain areas in the community, and we're going to be dyeing the fountain blue on Main Street, just to have a visible reminder of our shared commitment to keeping children safe and supporting healthy families. The month of April, we're going to have several events that just support families coming together, and they're going to be free events. So Parks and Rec are going to, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Parks and Rec is going to be hosting the Great Easter Egg Hunt, and it's going to be going until April 5th. It has been going on since the 28th of March. We also sponsored a movie at the Fallon Theater. It's going to be April 17th and 18th at 6 p.m. It's going to be the movie Cars. Churchill County Social Services, along with many other wonderful community partners, will host a family carnival at the Life Center on April 23rd, and that's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30. And then throughout the month of April, check out the Churchill County Social Services Facebook page to look at different parenting tips that provide support for families in our community. And lastly but not least, every Friday, please join us by wearing blue or a pinwheel shirt. I do have pinwheel shirts for you guys if you'd like one, just to show the support for the cause.
So with that today, we're just asking that you adopt the proclamation, which is joint with the City of Fallon.
Thank you, guys. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? Okay, if not, a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the joint proclamation declaring April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We'll grab a picture real quick. Okay, we'll jump to 7D, consideration and possible action, adoption of a proclamation declaring April 2026 Occupational Therapy Month. And I believe we have Angela online.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Angela Tarancha. I'm an occupational therapist and the advocacy chair with the Nevada Occupational Therapy Association. And we are requesting to adopt a proclamation for Occupational Therapy Month this April. We celebrate this every year, and we just like to recognize and celebrate the practitioners and students who live and work in Churchill County. Occupational therapy practitioners support people across the lifespan in what they want to do, need to do, and expected to do. So these are their most meaningful occupations. And we are found in many different settings, at home, schools, in hospitals, nursing homes, and in the community. So we're everywhere, and we would love Churchill County's support in recognizing and celebrating our practitioners.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt a proclamation declaring the month of April 2026 Occupational Therapy Month in and for Churchill County.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We'll grab a picture real quick again. Okay, we'll jump to 7E, first reading, consideration of possible action. Bill 2026-A, ordinance 22, 32, 37, 39, 63, and 74. Title and ordinance making corrections, deletions, additions, and minor revisions to Title IX, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare, Section 9.12, Adult Entertainment, Title 14, Building and Construction, Section 14.04, Building Permits, Section 14.12, Building Codes, Section 14.16, Manufactured Home and Mobile Home Installation Requirements, Title 16, Consolidation Development Code, Section 16.08, Zoning and Land Use, Section 16.12, Division of Land, Section 16.16, Development Standards, Section 16.24, Definitions and Development of Churchill County Public Works Design Manual Document, where standard and standard details will be moved from the code to the new document. Who do we got to speak on this? Randy?
Yeah, Randy Hines, Public Works Planning and Building. Again, this is the first reading to initially set the date for April 15th to adopt these changes in code. So if you, I'm not sure if you guys were able to look at it or if you want to kind of do a brief summary of it. I don't know where you guys want to go with this today.
Just a brief summary.
Okay. Yeah, so again, what we're essentially doing is we're cleaning up some stuff that we found from our industrial code changes, and that's where we dive into Title IX. Title 14 has some changes to do with industrial, but also has to do with some changes for adopting the 2024 codes. And then in Title 16, we're really looking at having some more clarity in our E1 district, kind of clean that up a little bit to follow the master plan and our water and sewer section. We're revising some intensity and dimension standards. We're doing some cleanup in our parcel maps, map a division into large parcels, street design standards, accessory dwelling. Our accessory dwelling unit. We're trying to clean that up a little bit to have a little bit more clarity in those. And again, the biggest one out of this, where there'll be another agenda item on the 15th, is to get our details out of code, put them in our design manual. We want to get our hydrology back into that design manual because currently we don't have any design standards for hydrology. And then down the road, we're going to be getting all the design requirements for sewer, water, storm drain, streets, traffic, geotech out of code and get it in this design manual. So we've got this separate design manual that's not tied to code. It's just its own mode manual. So that's kind of a brief description of those changes.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions or comments from board or staff?
Randy, this is Chris. So the code is going to reference this manual, and then as you update the manual, then you only have to bring the manual back in front of the board if there's updates and not have to change the code. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it's just easier process, right? We don't have to go through, especially like planning commission and then you guys. It's just we just do it by resolution. So
Any other questions? Is there any public comment? If not, a motion for this agenda item, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the bill 2026-A and make changes to the Churchill County Code.
Second.
All those in, go ahead.
So the action today is just to set the second reading.
Okay, so I guess the board document's incorrect. So we don't need to do anything.
We'll,
Okay,
right.
second reading? Is that how you want
Yes.
it? Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to set a hearing meeting on April the 16th, 2026,
15th.
April the 15th, 2026, to hear this matter.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Randy. 7F, consideration and possible action, update on activities from the Churchill County Arts Council and request for approval to disperse the support funding in the amount of $8,000 for the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. The floor is all yours, Robin.
Good morning, Robin Jordan, Executive Director of the Churchill Arts Council. Before you is our application of support from the county for this season. I tried sending the brochure via email, but it was not going through, so I have copies here available if anyone would like to go over the programs that we've offered this year. I'll just do, because I've just completed my first year in this role, so I'll do an update on how it's gone. Since stepping into the role, my focus has been on strengthening the quality of programming and long-term sustainability of the Churchill Arts Council. This season, we successfully delivered a full lineup of performances and exhibitions while increasing community engagement through more targeted outreach and partnerships. Behind the scenes, we've been working to build relationships with artist booking agents. It has resulted in confirmed shows for next season and more progress, and we've expanded gallery program and brought on a contracted curator for full and consistent exhibitions at the Arts Council in the galleries. Beyond programming, a large priority has been building stronger community connections, working with local schools, regional arts organizations, and partners to create more opportunities for participation, including new classes and the development of an Arts to School initiative, which we have a grant application out for that we're waiting notice of. We've been focusing on improving internal systems for the Churchill Arts Council, fundraising strategies, and long-term planning. So we're not just maintaining operations, but really setting up for future growth. Overall, the season has been about building momentum, expanding our offerings, strengthening partnerships, and making sure arts continue to be a meaningful and accessible part of life in Churchill County. So all the objectives and the long-term goals have been submitted through the application. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like me to expand on for next season or this season, if there's any questions. But we've just mainly been focusing on trying to build those community partnerships and continue setting up for sustainability for the organization.
Any questions or comments for Robin? Okay, is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve disbursement of support funding to the Churchill Arts Council in the amount of $8,000 from the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Robin. We'll grab a
Thank you.
picture with you.
And I hope to see everyone at our upcoming events.
Okay, did anyone want to pull any of the letters received?
Mr. Chairman, on letter B, can we have someone reach out to this family and just discuss it with them? There's questions and concerns to make sure they've been heard.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah, if you could take care of that, Chris. Okay, we'll jump to old business, 9A, consideration of possible action, update on the Churchill County compensation study. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe Sanford for the record. As you are aware, the Churchill County Compensation Study team, Baker Tilly, was on site yesterday. They had meetings with the majority of our department heads and elected officials. They had, I think, very fruitful and understanding conversations about what the compensation study did, how it was determined, things like that. For the most part, I think all of those conversations went well. A lot of understanding was had on both sides about what was being requested from Baker Tilly as it relates to any changes that were requested, as well as understanding on the part of our department heads and elected officials about how the numbers were derived. Currently, as it is before this board, you've suggested that you'd like an implementation number 2, which is a plan of not stay on same step, but years in position. That has a current budget expected impact of about $813,000. There are some recommendations for some changes, generally in the upward direction, that would potentially have a budget impact of about $850,000 as the base salary change. At a 40% blended rate, the vast majority of the employees having changes here are non-PERS. It may be slightly higher than that because the Juvenile Probation Department had a number of the changes. That would be about $1.2 million in total budget impact. I will just say I think the majority of the information that has been presented and provided is within line. A number of departments had some requests and changes that would be closer to sort of a restructure or reorganization of their positions, changes from those positions that are not title specific, but more actual changes, substantive changes. Those types of changes would be brought before the board for your consideration, sort of as a separate piece. I do not believe that if those changes were adopted, we would need to do significant changes to the compensation study. The majority of those types of changes would have easy comparable positions already within the county that they could be reflected to, but if not, in discussions with Baker Tilly, they do reclassifications on an individual basis as needed. Happy to answer any questions if you have any questions other than that.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Any questions or comments from board or staff?
Joe, so we're pretty much done, and you've assessed the product that we've got, and you determined that it's met all of our goals that we set to achieve, and it's a product that we can move forward with in the future to easily.
Yes. So timing-wise, Baker Tilly has suggested they're going to take the feedback that they've received from yesterday as well as previously. They're going to review some of the positions that maybe didn't have full accurate market data or that were just highlighted as a concern. They believe they'd be able to get those changes completed within 1 week, and then it would come before this board for a final determination at your April 15th meeting. The intention at that time is for the board to make final decision as to what the positions would be graded at. At that point in time, we'll put all of the individuals into that piece, send it out to everybody so that everyone knows what the full impacts will be for everyone, and that will allow us to make final budget numbers for adoption at your May 2nd meeting. As far as the compensation study itself, it is completed by a professional organization. It has addressed a large number of factors, far more than I would have done if I had done it. And so I guess what I'm going to say is I think they have done the job that we've asked them to do. It doesn't necessarily match, I think, the desires of every single department, and everybody who has wanted to provide comment has provided comment, but it is, I think, more or less where it's going to be.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Do you need action on that item, or no, we're good? Just information only? Okay. Thank you, Joe. That finishes old business. We'll jump to new business, 10B, consideration and possible action, ratification of a letter of support from Churchill County for the City of Fallon's water storage tank community project funding request. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chris Bross for the record. So this year, Churchill County applied for an appropriation through the congressional delegation to request some funding to help finance the balance of our water treatment plant. As a result of that, having letters of support from various people helped substantiate our ask, and so we had asked the City of Fallon for a letter, and they agreed, and we submitted that. That being said, the City of Fallon has also requested an appropriation through the delegation for the construction of their water tank. We felt it was only right that if they served us with a letter of support, we would do the same. The reason this is in front of the board today for ratification is this came up very, very quickly, both ours letter of support and their letter of support. And so we provided that letter. I had the chair sign that letter so we could submit it, and it was all taking place in a matter of about 24 hours. So this is in front of you today to ratify that letter of support to the city, which they had in turn done for us as well. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If not, a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to ratify and approve the letter of support for the City of Fallon's water storage tank community project funding request.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. 10C, consideration of possible action, approval of an advance payment in the amount of $4,800 to cover the cost of burials for Churchill County residents subject to public administration through February 26th, 2026. Joe, you want to take this one?
Public Administrator Bob Ghetto has submitted invoices for the burial of indigent persons, or I guess not indigent, abandoned persons for a period of about 18 months to the county. These are people that he has requested to have covered through payments by the county. When those estates are closed, whatever funds are available will be transmitted. Again, these are fairly old, and so I don't expect a significant amount of funds to be available. If they end up classified as indigent and can be supported as indigent, they can be reimbursed through social services, but that has always been something that we need to ensure we have the documentation for. At this point in time, we have, I think, had through our budget process and discussions in the future that that's how we would like to handle these cases, and so the request is to handle this for the last 18 months.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments from board or staff? And seeing as Bob Ghetto is my uncle, I'll be abstaining from voting or conversation. Any other questions or comments? Is there any public comment? If not, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the advance payment in the amount of $4,800 for burial expenses as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And I will be abstaining from voting. We'll jump to 10D, consideration and possible action, approval of a local public agency agreement with the Nevada Department of Transportation for the construction of Sand Canyon Road. Chris and/or Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the agreement between the state of Nevada and Churchill County for the construction of Sand Canyon Road. We have been negotiating with the state and with the Navy for some time to ensure all of the language is agreeable. This is essentially identical language to what we approved for Lone Tree Road. In terms of the local public agency agreement, Churchill County will be constructing the road with the Navy providing the funding through FHWA to NDOT. We will be billing through NDOT, and they will be reimbursing to us. It's going to be constructed essentially to our normal standard, but actually at a 20-foot width instead of our normal 32. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve the local public agency agreement with NDOT as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. 10E, consideration and possible action, approval of a defense access road agreement with the United States Navy for construction of Sand Canyon Road. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Joe Sanford for the record. This is the agreement with the Navy for the Defense Access Road Agreement. There's actually been an update since the one that is in your packet. We've been working with the Navy to ensure that we had a final bit of documentation related to the maintenance portion. Really, we just added one sentence that says that they will keep the road free of potholes, ruts, washouts, and things like that. And so I will ensure that the final document is provided to the clerk for your signature, but otherwise it is the same document. This is, again, almost identical to our prior agreement for Lone Tree Road with the change related to maintenance. So as part of the agreement with the Navy, they have agreed to provide the maintenance related to Sand Canyon Road. That is a requirement that has been issued by BLM and the federal standards that for that road to be transferred, it does have to have a maintenance piece. Churchill County will be having a sort of a joint right-of-way with the Navy, and so we will continue to have the right-of-way, but the Navy will have the maintenance obligation.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Defense Access Road Agreement as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. 10F, consideration and possible action, ratification of a hiring an office specialist in lieu of permit technician in the Public Works, Planning, and Building Department. Who's going to take this one? You're back up, Joe. Your name's on it, so.
If there's any hard questions, though, you need to direct those to Randy. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Joe Sanford for the record. The Churchill County Planning, Public Works, and Building Department has a permit technician position currently open. That position is paid into grade 47, but in looking at the budget and things that may be best for his department in the future, there has been a request to actually hire that at a lower grade, an office specialist, which is a grade 39. This would be helpful to him to ensure that he has the ability to cross-train appropriately with his business licensing office specialist position, as well as just to ensure that the function of the office match more closely with what is actually being hired. So it is a budget savings, so good luck.
Any questions or comments from board or staff? Any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the hiring of an office specialist in lieu of a permit technician in the Public Works, Planning, and Building Department.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 10G, consideration and possible action, ratification of the Central Nevada Health District Administrator to be placed at grade 85 of the Churchill County pay table. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a ratification of the Health District Administrator to be placed at grade 85 in the, of the Churchill County pay table. The administrator is placed on the pay table for Churchill County, even though it is selected and hired by the Central Nevada Health District Board. For some time ago, this is something that I'm somewhat surprised we didn't already have fully done. This was brought before the board for the hiring of an administrator doctor for a time. This board considered that that probably wasn't something that they had a desire for, and you allowed for hiring up to a certain wage. This is within that wage, but for our records, we'd like to ensure that we have an exact figure brought before this board, which would be a grade 85.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to ratify the placement of the Central Nevada Health District Administrator at grade 85 of the Churchill County pay table.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Joe. I think you're done now. 10H, consideration and possible action, presentation and discussion on the tentative budget for fiscal year 2026-2027, and possible input and direction from the Board of County Commissioners to the Comptroller regarding changes to department budget requests since the budget hearings held on February 19th and 20th, 2026. Okay.
Thank you. Again, somehow. I passed out the new, not the new, it was the same wish list that we started with before. And I'll go through my PowerPoint now. We have to submit our tentative budget by the 15th, so we're going to need some direction from the board going forward. And just to recap, the Department of Taxation rules, this is NRS 354.470, which says that during fiscal budgets can only be augmented if there is under budgeted grants greater than anticipated revenue or greater than budgeted opening fund balance. Therefore, revenues are budgeted as low as possible and expenditures are budgeted higher than expected while meeting the requirements of the minimum fund balance. And the minimum fund balance is within the general fund, and we have to have about $1.5 million in the general fund. In addition to, revenues must be below what taxation forecast as of their March 25th final revenue numbers that have the abatements. Therefore, that's why this comes before you so late, and we have this very narrow window in which to get it to taxation by the 15th. And we are a political subdivision of the state of Nevada, so we're required to follow this NRS. Next slide, please. So what's changed since our first budgeted workshop? Now, normally, this would have come, we wouldn't have had all the budget workshops between, or budget talks between the original tentative budget workshop and here. But this is just a recap of what's on your wish list. There was approved additional employee personnel of the $714,000. We have a number of $1 million for the job study. We had additional requests for services and supplies of the 871, increase in community support by the 2,850, and approval of capital outlay that's not in like specific capital outlay funds of $284,000. I want to note that there's a little difference here in the personnel from what you have on your wish list. It's because I had to put the entire public defender's request in there because it has a revenue now, so it nets. And I was pulling it out so we could just see what our actual increase was going to be in the past, if that makes sense to you. Okay, next slide, please. And so this is where we ended up with the budget that's been presented, that was attached, that was sent out. I sent out to you, and it was attached to the agenda. For our 2027 budget, we have tentative revenues and transfers of the $52 million. As it stands right now, we have a $667 million in expenditures. That was a hard one to say. And so we have an expected spending of our fund balance of the $15 million. Of that is $12.9 million of that is capital outlay projects. So what we're doing with this budget right now, it is reducing our fund balance by $2.5 million. So how that is like if you have a savings account, you have revenues going in, expenses going out, and you had a balance when you went into that account, we are eating into that balance by the $2.5 million. Next slide, please. And here's some results of the budget to break down. Our opening fund balance for 2026 for the general fund was $6.2 million, which was only about $145,000 greater than we had budgeted for the year that we're in. So that's the only wiggle room we have for greater than anticipated opening fund balance within the general fund. Budgeted opening fund balance for 2027 was estimated at 5.2 in the budget that we're going into now. That's what's been budgeted. So what this budget in the current year is doing is it's spending down the general fund by $1 million roughly. And then what we need in the general fund for the 4% requirement for taxation, we have to have a balance of $1.1 million at the end of 2027. However, the budget that's been presented so far, we're negative about $1 million. So what we need to do is find some budget cuts to get our general fund up to the minimum. So we need cuts about $1.2 million. And so looking for some direction on how to do that, or what you'd like to do to get that to a number that we can work with, because this budget cannot be sent to taxation as it is. And next slide, please. Some suggestions are we could ask for some additional transfers from CCCOM. The budget that CCCOM submitted had $480,000 in Pelt and a transfer of $1.2 million. So that gives them a total amount of $1,680,000. And or what we also can do is we can look for some cuts in the supplemental stuff, look at other budgets. We could look at maybe phasing in the job study, doing something different with the job study, either delaying it later in the year or implementing in phases. These are all up to the board. And then the next page just shows where we started. We had departmental requests, and then we went down to the tentative budget, so you can see the differences in all the funds. And that is the expenditures. And the next page is the revenues. And we are pretty close to what taxation said. Before I got the final numbers, I was estimating our sales tax higher, but I had to reduce it because I was above what taxation was requesting. If you look at the sales tax that I sent out last week, we were running at 8% above budget, but now we're at 6%, and that's through January. It's quite a lag. So that's where we stand. So, and another note I'd like to put out there is we have also spent out of budget expenditures that have come in front of this board for this fiscal year 2026. We spent about $350,000 that was unbudgeted, that has been approved by this board. And anything else? Right now, if we look at our general fund, we have $4 million. We need to and then the way I've estimated it, we have about $5 million that we're going to start 2027 with. So hopefully, as an estimate, we're looking at building that fund balance so that we can roll into the 2027 budget year with about a $5 million opening fund balance, the plan. However, that still doesn't reach our goal.
Okay, any questions or comments for Sherry?
Your goal is 2.1, is that correct, reduction?
Yeah, well, 2.2.
2.2 is your goal?
Yeah.
Okay. And we've accounted for CCCOM. Everything they're giving us is in the...
That whatever they put in their budget,
Okay.
which was...
1.2.
Thank you.
1.2 and the 480.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
So that's 2.2 million we still got to cut on top of, so that's already factored into the budget, that
Ye-
1.68 million.
Yes, that's in this budget, correct.
But it doesn't include the 300,000 that they may add to that 1.2, is that
It
correct?
does not, it only matches what the budget that they submitted, which was that
So
1.2.
Okay. And we determined with Mr. Sanford's comments earlier that the total impact of the compensation study is 1.2. So we have 1 in the budget, so do we need to raise the 2.2 to 2.4 now that we know the total impact's 1.2? I want to start with the good number, right?
Yeah, well, that was the first I've heard of, they're still like, it's a working
That's
massage,
correct, but
so
he's-
yeah.
but he's
So that's
thinking that
not
the
in this
final out-
budget yet.
The final impact's going to be 1.2. So that changes the number to 2.4. Is that correct or incorrect?
It could be. If that's the number, it would be another 200,000 we have to find.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
That we're not.
However, the whole thing is in the general fund, and some of that will be going to social services, parks and rec, so those are standalone funds, library, so, but I don't know if that would amount to,
So it's probably close to,
the
it's
200,000
probably
to the
close
other
to $1 million that
In the
would,
general
that would
fund.
impact the general fund.
yeah.
Even if it's 1.2. Okay, just want to make sure.
Sherry, I have a couple of questions. I always have a really hard time understanding how you come up with your payroll numbers. So I spent some time talking to Jamie yesterday on how you come up with the sheets that you send out to each one of the departments. And after talking to Jamie, it sounds to me like based on how you do merits, when you do merits, the extra week in our payroll, I think it would be safe to say that we have a small amount of cushion built into our payroll to cover some additional expenses. In years past, how close have our actual payroll expenditures been to what has been budgeted?
Okay, so if we looked at, they're close. We don't have a lot of room, there's some room there. We factor in that some of these departments have larger numbers, like if you look at the clerk treasurer's office last year, there's a larger, like $30,000. However, they were gapping positions, and that was part of our cost-saving metrics that we were using. If we looked at some departments that haven't had a lot of, like recorder's office, they haven't had turnover, they had $4,000 left over when they had a $215,000, so we're talking minimal. And then, I mean, but then if you go to look at offices that have quite a bit, for example, a lot of turnover, like the sheriff's department, they had a budget of, this is, I'm talking 2025 because these are final numbers, $4 million, and they had 500,000 sitting in that account at the end of the year that was unspent.
And that's likely due to having a hard time filling those,
Yeah,
those
they
two
had a lot-
positions and
exactly,
things
they-
like that.
they have
And
a
I'm assuming
big
the
lag.
public defender is going to be the same way, that the public defender probably had savings just because those positions were not going to be able to be filled, and therefore showing probably a substantial savings, just like the sheriff has shown.
Yes, the public defender had actual expenditures, and this is just salaries, not the bennies, was $342,000, and then they still had a variance of $335,000. However, when we're looking at the public defender, I have put revenue in there that hopefully we will get from DIDS. As noted before, we have not received any money in the current fiscal year, and we're in the last quarter, and we have not received the true-up for 2025.
All right, this is for the board's sake. So I anticipated that we would probably have a hard time getting to our budget. So one of the things that I did is I went through everybody's budget in the general fund I did not touch any of the asks that people were asking for because that had been approved. Now, that could be subject to change, obviously, based on the decisions that you guys want to make. But what I did is I went through all the line items specifically as it relates to services and supplies, and there was a lot of budget items that have been budgeted the same amount historically over time that has never had the expenditures that equate to those budgets. And that could have been because there was a one-time cost that had to be added, and I'll use an example. I mean, this year, the courts have to do an audit, so they had to increase $13,000. And so what I think has happened over the years is there was a one-time cost for something that was coming up, and then that budget was never reduced back to the original budget. So I went through and looked at those historically through all the departments, and not taking any money away from anybody in terms of money that they are spending, but just looking at money that has been over budget in particular line items. And when I went through everybody's, and I didn't clean them out, don't get me wrong, I reduced them to the highest that was kind of spent historically, and also keeping in mind that this year is not over yet, and there are certain expenditures that are still going to happen this year. But going through all that, I found a considerable amount of money to the tune of about $700,000 of money that has been budgeted, but historically has not been spent. And so if we were to take that information and put it into your spreadsheet, that would lower our services and supplies and therefore have an impact on the ending fund balance. Is that correct?
Yes, if we were to reduce budget, it will reduce the expenditures.
Okay.
I do want to note that the budgets that was approved in 2026 gave an ending fund balance in the general fund of $1.2 million, because we just try to get that, I mean, it would be nice to get above 4%. However, and then, but we're looking that we're not going to, if we were to spend like this, we would have $1.1 million at the end of 2026. But looking at what the budget has been and revenues that have come in, I've adjusted for grants and things that look like they're coming in the current year, and that's why we are getting to the $5 million. So that's part of the budget process. I mean, if we go down to, if we don't have any kind of extra push in the budget, then we will not be able to have an opening fund balance. If we were, that didn't, oh yeah, I know, that didn't come out correctly. Also, knowing that the county manager's office was looking at expenditures like that, I also looked at expenditures like that, and some of these supplemental requests, if we look at their previous budgets. For example, let's see. What's a good example? Like the district attorney, they've had a services and supplies surplus last year of $17,000. That would cover their asks. District court had a surplus last year of $42,000 in their services and supplies. That would cover their request. So that's something that could be looked at too, as opposed to options of taking funds away from people who didn't request. I think some of these requests may actually be able to be covered in their historical spending in their services supplies. Just a thought, though.
But it still keeps us over budget, though.
But
We're still over budget. If we
yeah,
cut that
either
out.
way. I mean, these are just options. I'm
If you
just
cut both, then
how to
you go-
massage
you
it.
go down. If you don't, if you only cut one, you don't go down.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying these are options. I'm throwing options out there.
Just trading dollars.
It's called a circle. I would like to ask the county manager's office to meet with every department head one more time and make sure that every department head has done what they can to lower the number. Even if it's only $500, it's $500. So I'd like for him to do that. That would be one thing. Hopefully, maybe he'll find a little bit more. I fully support the compensation study to maintain it, keep it in there, not to even, I don't want to phase it, I want to do it right now. The budget that we have is not sustainable. I think I was going to save these comments for another day, but I think I'm going to say it because I think it's important. To take our profit from another company to balance the budget of another company, that's not normal. So that money from the phone company, I believe, should be used for the future of our county, not current times. So that's something I'm thinking about. Then the investment income that we have off our investments should not be used to balance our budget. So that's something I'm looking at, to where how can we get away from those two things being something that we use to balance our budget every year, because we should not be. You've mentioned that we can't put money into the accounts that you want to for the future. That's a reason. There's one reason, okay? So I want to get away from that. I know that's going to take some time, but I think this year maybe we can reduce our budget a little bit somehow, maybe finish it up with some savings to balance and move on. But next year, I'd like to see maybe the budget flat, and then the year after that, maybe start getting away from using our investment income and CCCOM to balance our budget into where it goes into our future. And then the year after that, be completely on board with all of that going somewhere else. If we do not take this approach now, I believe we are asking for a bad day in the future. And I think this is all achievable, and I think we can do this without a reduction in staff. But as you guys know, that's 60% of our budget is staff. So each department head always needs to make sure that they need the staff that they have. And especially when someone leaves, do we need that person? Can we do technology or redirect responsibility? So that's some of the things I'm thinking about. I think just from the things that we've mentioned, we've reduced our overages by approximately $1 million. And we haven't even heard from the other two commissioners. They may have a good idea, which I hope you do. Like if you guys could do like 500 each, it would work out. But that's all I have for at the moment.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to throw, Sherry had mentioned a few ideas of what could be done to help save, and I just kind of want to put this out there for you guys to think about. When I asked the payroll question, Sherry had mentioned that part of that payroll savings has been because positions became vacant, and then there's a time before they get filled. There's some unpopular ways that we might have to look at this. One of them could be a hiring freeze. Another one kind of going back to position gapping. One of the things that I thought about was we have a certain percentage that gets tacked onto our payroll for compensated absences, and I thought that there might be a reduction in that. However, when I talked to Jamie yesterday, I found out there's only $97,000 in that account, and I thought that account was a lot larger. So that doesn't seem like that's going to be feasible, but I wanted to throw that out there. A real unpopular course of action is the merit raise freeze, that you freeze that for a year. I think that makes more sense than, say, a COLA freeze. A COLA freeze, when you freeze that, you impact people that are topped out of their step, and as well as we just went through this compensation study, we start messing around with COLA. Now we're going to be a year behind when it comes to the implementation of that, so that's not always a popular idea. And I think Sherry had mentioned this as well, eliminate or reduce some of the asks that are being asked right now. What I'm trying to look at is trying to minimize the amount of money that we have to dip into our reserves or our savings because to me, that's not balancing a budget. And that's over the next 2 or 3 years, that's what we have to get to be able to balance this budget. Learn from this year over the next couple of years to get an understanding of how we need to balance that. And I agree with what Commissioner Blakey had mentioned. Taking money from CCCOM, I think, is great. But more importantly, using our investment money, we're making a lot of money with our investments, but that can turn. And if you've budgeted that as money that we have, and we have a bad couple of years in the market, now all of a sudden, with that being out of our control, we lose that revenue. So I think this is a big bite to try to take in 1 year. I think it makes a lot of sense to try to figure out how we're going to get to that balanced budget in the next 2 or 3 years. But we have to be striving to get there, and we have to learn from what we're doing right now to get to that position.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a couple. When we're looking at this salaries, we're looking at a job study, and I don't know how deep you've gone into the job study as commissioners, but it's very top-heavy. And so if we look at page 10 of the, I don't know, it's part of the packet, salaries are like our hugest expense. And this, we've got like, with benefits, it's $34 million out of the budget. So, and that's going to be reoccurring. And also to note, CCCOM is part of the county. CCCOM is an enterprise fund. They're not a separate company. They are part of the county. County funds were invested to start the phone company. Just because I know that's always been looked at as like a pseudo-government, but it is just the signatures on the checks are Linda's and mine. Just so you're.
With that being said, I will tell you they have a separate tax ID number. Their financials are separate.
Actually, they're in here.
They are.
They have
but
2 sets.
They are, but they operate as a revenue generating company, like a private company.
As
And-
should our water and sewer.
Exactly. And then our water and sewer hasn't been doing so well. The phone company has. Now, it's great that they have been doing well. And as an owner of CCCOM as a county, and in times like this when we need to dip into it, but I'm with Eric, I don't want to rely on that year after year. We'll rely on it this year some, but we need to get away from relying on that. They also have to expand, and without expanding, they wouldn't be in the position they're in to be able to do this. So we don't want to interrupt their expansions to save us year after year. That's not a good business model. So I agree with that as well. It's great that they're doing well, and thank goodness for us. And I think we add that $300,000 in, that additional bump on top of everything else, that puts us to 1.9 million. And I'm grateful for that this year, but we cannot continue to operate like that. When we have an increase in our revenue of 3%, we can't have a 13% increase in our budget. It just doesn't work. So we need to be cognizant of that. I think we really need to look at economic development. I don't know if we've heard from NV Energy what kind of power we're getting, if any, but that's where we need to focus our future. So I think it's going to be a group effort, and I hope everybody gets involved in lowering this budget. I agree with Member Blakey that I would like to see you meet with them individually and see what they can come up with to help. It's going to take everybody's help to get this down to where we are. I also agree, I do not want to delay a phased implementation of the job study. It's just going to put us that much further behind. And, hiring freeze, if it comes to that, but I hope it doesn't. My goal is everybody get on the same page. I like the idea of cutting those expenses by $700,000 if we could do that, and get things a little tighter. I think we're going to have to do that. So, and if we can't get it where it needs to be with every department's head input, well, then they're going to put it on us, and they might not like what we do. So those are my thoughts.
Because we have to do something.
Yeah, no,
So,
absolutely. I want you to do
You know,
something.
we have to do something, so we're allowing, I guess would be a way to say it, everyone to work together and figure out a method of moving forward at your liking. Because you may not like our liking, you know? So, and then to talk to CC one more time, I understand they're a part of the county, but they stand alone, okay? So unless Churchill County does $100,000 worth of work for them every month and you can bill them, you can't just take money from them, okay? So I have a huge problem with that, and we don't really need to discuss it any further. That's just where I'm standing, because that's business, period.
Okay, can I give you some history? Since 2000, they gave us $1.4 million. From 2010 to 2014, they gave us $2 million, they gave us 2.4, they gave us 2.5, they gave us 2.3. Then
I'm going to cut you off right there. And I know where that money was coming from. That was coming out of savings. You can't run business very long paying out of savings. So I'm going to stop you right there. That was being paid out of savings.
Well, actually, they were having their, that's okay, that's fine.
Okay, any other questions or
saying.
comments? So I think we pretty much have, go ahead.
Is there any other?
I
need
think
some ideas.
between the additional 300,000 from CCCOM, and then you have about a 711,000 from the line items in there, and then directing County Manager Spross to meet with all the department heads and see if, what is that, remainder 1.1 then?
Yeah.
Just to kind of put a cap on that, we started at 2.2 is what we were short.
Correct.
If we add $300,000 to that and then take out another $200,000, which is where we think potentially the comp study could land, that's $2.1 million that we'd have to find. If we can peel that $700,000 out of it, we're still going to be short about $1.4 million, which is what we're going to be trying to dig up.
Is there anything that we can talk about on the new ask that we can maybe flag to reduce, or do we want to try and keep those in there right now?
I think in an effort to continue to have conversations with the department heads, you leave that in right now, and allow the department heads to revisit those as opposed to you revisiting them right now. If you don't like what you see after those conversations, then obviously the board has the authority to go in there and do what they need to do. So
I guess I'll update the board's request to you is to talk to every department head about everything, existing and anything that they want on that wants list, to see if anything can be reduced.
that would be my intent.
And so how is that information going to get to the comptroller's office? What's the plan? What's the timeline?
I'll meet with department heads early next week, put a summary together, and send it over to the comptroller's office to be able to implement into the budget. I'm going to keep asks separate from these budget reductions or that we had talked about earlier, the 700,000. And so then I'm just going to make an assumption here. If everybody agrees to the 700,000, that can go directly into the budget. And then any sort of asks can be brought back to this and say, I've met with all the department heads. This department has said they can do without this for another year, so on and so forth. I'll get that information to you so you can update this. And then we will have to have another meeting with this board to go over where we're at and how much we still may need to do.
Okay, because we need a little bit of time to get it into the budget before the 15th. And we're at the 2nd, please.
We will work as diligently as we can.
Perfect.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I would just like to say that I think staff, now our county manager's office, we need to start thinking about a new approach to the budget process and how we look at it and what we're looking at and when we're looking at it. And start coming up with some ideas, and maybe the board members here, we can come up with some ideas and share with the county manager's office to a totally different way so we don't get here as much. So, and an example is, the 2 years we've been here, 4 years Commissioner Ghetto's been here, we're looking at everybody's wants first before we look at what we got. So that was a little backwards, but I mean, I guess you can have birthday presents all day long. So that's something, that's an example.
Yeah,
Just need
that's
to look at our
dictated by
budgets first.
taxation when they send out the revenue numbers, which are the 25th of March.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to know what they're going to look like.
But we can get
I
our
mean,
expenses
I can make
figured
them
out, is
big,
what I'm
but
at.
if they're over taxation, then we have to go in there and explain how we expect to get more revenues than there. And we've never gone over them. And we've also been a poster child for the taxation for not being under fiscal watch for over budgeting and budget violations.
Yeah,
I think an easy way to do that is you keep the budget flat with no asks, and then you find out what revenue comes in, and you say, we've got $700,000 over and above, let's start looking at asks.
I like
So
that.
we want to
agree.
establish what
That's
we're doing
beautiful.
first. We're not worried about the revenue. We have to spend a certain amount of money just to survive, okay? So,
Okay, any other questions or comments or guidance for the Comptroller's Office and/or County Manager's Office?
I just want to make sure the county manager's got everything he needs to do what he needs to do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Do we need a motion on this one? Yeah, I think we'll have to wait until the 15th to approve that, just with the guidance and stuff. Okay. Did anyone want to pull anything off the consent items? Okay, if not, a motion to approve those. Is there any public comment on those? Okay, motion to approve those, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Does anyone have anything they want to consider for a future agenda item? Okay, Commissioner and Management Staff reports. We'll start with you, Commissioner Hyde.
We've, Fallon Youth Club, we're hiring a new director. That job description has been posted and did a quasi compensation study for one position, looking at some others, what they make around us. So going through that, we've got an interim in right now. So yeah, things are shifting there, and we did raise the fees at the little clubhouse to kind of get our financials where they need to be. So there's that.
Okay, I had an RTC meeting, library board meeting, as well as a cemetery board meeting. Commissioner Blakey.
I attended the Department of Indigent Defense Conference in Las Vegas about the Public Defender's Office. There's a lot going on there. I participated in a Rural Leaders Forum with the City of Fallon Mayor and the City of Fernley Mayor for the Realtors Association. The museum's having their lecture series. It's on Tuesdays nights at 6 p.m. There's 2 more left. They're pretty interesting this year. And then I attended a town hall meeting in the City of Gabbs for the Nevada Highway 361 realignment project.
Okay, Sherry. Wade.
Nothing for me, thanks.
County Manager Spross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So last week I attended the NACO Board of Directors meeting, my first one. And then I also had the opportunity on Monday and Tuesday of this week to be a chaperone for 17 freshmen, sophomore, and juniors from Churchill County High School to go on a college trip. We visited 3 colleges in Northern California. We went to Feather River, we went to Chico State, and then UC Davis, just to give the students an opportunity to see what campus life would be like. Bunch of great kids. I think they really enjoyed it, and I think they really got a lot out of it. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that.
Okay, Joe.
I don't have a lot to update as far as my activities. I was just going to suggest, I believe this board is going to need to set probably a special meeting to adopt a tentative budget, unless Sherry believes she can do it on the 15th at your regular meeting. Typically, it's done the day before if we're in a situation like this. just so we're not trying to scramble and set a meeting later.
Well, if it's on a meeting, and I don't know if it has to be formally adopted, I'll have to look at the taxation rules, because someone was saying it doesn't have to, so if you can make budget with the cuts, then maybe that's unnecessary. But we can't approve it on the 15th. Well, we could. I mean, that'd be wonderful, and then I'll just send it to taxation, but if there's any changes, we will not make our date.
Okay.
So that would be my only thing, but I'll look into that. Thank you. Thanks for pulling that out.
Sherry,
Okay.
this is Chris. Can changes be made between the tentative and the final?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, Linda?
Few things. Okay, reminding all the candidates to file their excuse me, I can't even talk today, contributions, expense reports. The number one is due this month. We have an federal election case that's in Nevada. The Secretary of State's office has been talking to all the counties, and so we'll know more as that comes forward and goes through court. We have property taxes that we collected for the last month was 1.7 million. And then just a reminder, we do have an ORMAT property taxes that have not been billed. We've been waiting for a Department of Taxation case, and that is over $1 million in just, I think it was 2 accounts. So that's something to look forward to if that helps with your numbers. And then the only other thing I'd like to add is I don't have investment income numbers for you today, but I will have them for you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Linda. Tara? Nothing. Mr. Mallory?
Actually, it's only mine. As I said, we have a vacancy in the criminal division that's existed in over 6 months. We've received 0 applicants. Although we've attempted to advertise, we've interviewed at UNLV and other places, and it's just becoming very problematic as far as the workload is concerned. So I'll just pass that on to you for your information.
Thank you. Tasha? Lee?
Try to get some happy news. We're getting close to being full staff for us right now. Probably be short-lived since we have some retirements coming up, but we're close as we've been for quite some time. We're getting ready for the summertime coming up, getting ready for graduation, getting our boat ready for boat patrols for people out there at the lake, and our detectives, investigators, and our deputies been working hard. We've had some recent thefts in the county, but we've made some good progress and recovered some property and made some arrests, so things are looking good.
Okay, thank you. Claims and payroll are going around. At this time, is there any public comment? Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.